And 3, 2, 1. Troy and Abed in the morning.
This was the first time I came across Donald Glover's work on one of my favorite comedy series, Community. Troy and Abed quickly became one of my favorite characters, and for me, Troy and Donald were exactly the same person.
For real? Me too.
Then one day I saw Troy doing stand-up and then rapping. Then I started seeing him in some Hollywood movies like The Martian and the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. But for some reason, This Is America music video really made me stop to figure out what the hell is up with this guy. I mean, the guy is obviously very talented, but I want to see if I could understand his mindset and extract principles and lessons valid for everyone. To do that, we need to connect all the dots. And for that, we need to go back to 2006.
No, dude, what are you... Alright, bro. Yo, this is gonna be sweet, alright? Wish me luck, okay? No, bro!
This is Bro Rape, an episode of a comedy sketch group called Derrick. Donald was part of this comedy group and they would upload their sketches onto YouTube. I guess you can say Donald is an OG YouTuber and they really found their audience here. The majority of these sketches were made while the group was studying in the University of New York. Donald was studying dramatic writing and in 2006 he concluded his studies, and because of these sketches he eventually got a job as a writer for this upcoming comedy series 30 Rock. You might have heard of it. And I guess because of his comedy sketch background he was even able to appear in some of the episodes. While he was writing for 30 Rock, he was still pretty active creating sketches for the Derrick comedy group, and through the sketches the group was even able to star and write their own movie, Mystery Team, which is actually a good movie, certainly the best coming out of this YouTube comedy scene. In addition to writing and starring, Donald is also credited with the music of the movie, even sneaking in some of his work under the Childish Gambino name.
You guys okay?
Yup.
Now, let's try to step into Donald's shoes for a minute. You just finished college and immediately land this huge writing job in a successful TV comedy show. Exactly what you went to college for, and a job that combines perfectly with your sketch comedy side project that you are still able to contribute. You start earning awards and life is good. You made it. So, in 2009, Donald quits writing for 30 Rock to pursue stand-up comedy. We now know that it turned out fine, but imagine making this decision yourself. On a later interview, Donald confessed that this was a stupid decision, but he wanted to try stand-up comedy, and that's what he did, leaving the safety of his job. From this decision alone, I really admire his passion to at least try to do something new. For example, I studied mechanical engineering, but filmmaking has always been a passion, and as I'm transitioning to do this full-time, it at least reassures me that if I follow my passion, my gut feeling, it will be alright somehow. Even though that looking from the outside, it might not be the best decision. This change allowed him to enter a new realm of comedy and eventually lead him to audition to play Troy in this show called Community, another major hit. And again in 2014, Donald announces that he will be leaving the show, and mind you that Donald described his job at Community as being the best job in the world, and his character is one of the most beloved characters in the entire show. By the way, I'm still waiting for the movie.
6 seasons and a movie!
At first I thought Donald leaving Community signified yet another career change, this time to focus more on his music, but this time it was much deeper than that, a fundamental change that allowed him to reach a whole new level of success. Around the time Donald announced that he was leaving Community, he posted on his Instagram a string of 7 handwritten notes detailing his thoughts and mainly his fears. In these notes he covers many areas of his life, but there's one common thread amongst all 7 notes. He's afraid of not living up to his full potential, not as an artist but as a human being who wants to express himself. And this may sound pretentious coming from a guy that accomplished so much already, but that's not the point. To himself, this is not the right path to follow. This again shows how self-aware Donald can be. We tend to become comfortable and accept a path that we ultimately didn't choose, but to have the guts to take the lead, it's tough. When everyone around you is telling you to keep going, your most valuable advice comes from within. These letters ended up with, "You are always allowed to grow up if you want," and that's what happened.
don't die, they fresh to death. My shoes break.
Under the Childish Gambino name, Donald has been consistently creating music since 2008. His style has always been mutating, but since the beginning he always tried to do something new. By listening to his music you feel like he's not inhibited in any way, he's just creating and having fun in the process, and creating whatever he feels like is dope. I think this attitude and his comedy background really made it a tough time for others in the hip-hop community to accept him into the culture. He doesn't really fit into the mold of your standard hip-hop artist, and being called a rapper is something that he actively avoids.
I'm definitely not a rapper. I don't want to be a rapper. Rappers can only get this far.
He knew that he wanted to do so much more outside hip-hop that he didn't want others to label him as just a rapper. Seeing other artists like Kanye West struggling to get into other fields like fashion, he wanted to make sure others didn't associate him to just that word. This was a breath of fresh air to the hip-hop community and allowed other artists to realize that they are so much more than just rappers and demand more from themselves. The letters were the beginning of this character transformation. Somehow he was able to dig deeper and come to terms with himself. This actually motivated me to do this exercise of writing my fears down myself, and it's amazing how therapeutic it can be to just write down your fears. It makes you very vulnerable, but in the end, your own words somehow empower you. I believe this new mindset allowed him to write Atlanta, this vulnerable, funny, and weird world Donald created. This amazing show that actually deserves a video on its own.
Yeah, man, definitely. Shit.
Donald's passions and interests just happen to make him reach so many of us, but at the end of the day, he's just doing what he likes. Regardless of your situation, just ask yourself, am I doing this to please myself or others? Am I being everything I can be? It's our responsibility to decide how we want to spend our time. Others will put labels on us, and if we're not careful, we might become them. To avoid that, it's good to check once in a while with ourselves if our path is the right one, to make our life's mission to uncover who we really are. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Donald Glover's world. He's a very busy guy, as you saw, and I think he will continue that way. This video took quite a long time to make, so if you want to support the show and support my work, just leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and just shop around and see what other videos I have. I have a lot of content here. So thank you guys so much, and I see you on the next video. Bye.